Syria and Assad are two interconnected terms which are harder to split over a period of more than 5 decades. Even though it's defined as the Syrian Arab Republic, it is more like a kingdom which is ruled by the Assad dynasty. In most of the top ranks of the existing government, Assad family members can be found, and they brought no considerable good to the Syrian government except violence and corruption. But with the help of political backing from countries like Russia, the Assad dynasty is still in power, despite internal conflicts being a curse for innocent Syrians. Through this video, we're going to discuss the Assad family, which has become a problem to the entire Middle East region. Before we proceed, hit the subscribe button and smash the bell icon for more exciting updates. The first ever Assad family member to hold a top-rank position in the Syrian government was General Hafez al-Assad, who became president of Syria in 1971 under the Ba'ath Party. Since then, they've extended their power in each sector of administration, making it weak. The origin of the Assad family is linked to the Qarda'a, near Latakia in northwest Syria. The Assad family belongs to the Kalbiya tribe, and they are considered members of a minority Alawite sect. Al-Assad means the lion in Arabic, and a person called Ali Suleiman changed his name to al-Assad in 1920, possibly in order to improve his reputation in the social standing as a local mediator and to promote his political activities. All the current Assad members of the Syrian government structure are the descendants of this Ali Suleiman, who acted like a hero in ancient reports. Ali Suleiman was a very famous figure in Qarda'a region with his physical strength and fighting skills. Unlike his children or grandchildren, Ali Suleiman fought for the rights of his people. At the beginning of the World War, the Ottoman governor of the Aleppo Vilayet sent troops to collect taxes from the people in the Qarda'a region, and according to historical reports, Ali Suleiman and his friends fought against those troops with sabers and old muskets. With that incident, the reputation for Ali Suleiman was increased, and people started to respect him as a mediator in solving many local issues. He had 2 wives and 11 children. The first one was Sada, and she had 3 sons and 2 daughters. Naisa was the second one, and she gave birth to 1 daughter and 5 sons, including Hafez al-Assad. After gaining independence from Syria in 1946, the Alawite community started to play significant roles within the administrative and military sectors of the Syrian government. The Ba'ath Party, which paved the way for the Assad family to come to power, was also founded 1 year after declaring independence. The Ba'ath Party was able to catch the attention of the Alawites more than the Muslim Brotherhood, which was with a Sunni Islam base. The Alawites' presence in the military ranks of the army paved the way for a series of coups in the 1960s. The last coup d'etat in Syria, which was carried out under the leadership of General Hafez al-Assad in the 1960s, brought the Alawites into power successfully. After this successful coup in 1970, Hafez al-Assad became the president of Syria, which was remarkable as he was from the minority Alawite group. Since then, Alawites have been appointed to key positions in the government to keep the administrative power within the hands of the Alawite minority. To maintain his position securely, Hafez decided to create a system of divide and rule, which decentralized the power from himself. Hafez al-Assad could be defined as a good ruler, as he always cared about securing power within his family rather than good governance. But Hafez wanted to represent himself as a state builder, a leader reformer, and a national builder through the enhancement of the socio-economic infrastructure of the country. But it was not something ever achieved within his regime. Hafez tried to give a democratic appearance to his government by giving the opportunity to form nationalist and socialist parties under the umbrella of the Ba'ath Party. Hafez messed everything up in his second year of the regime when he decided to introduce a constitutional reform in 1973. This removed the sentence mandating the president of Syria be a Muslim, so this created a political view against Hafez's administration within different religious organizations. He was labeled as the enemy of Allah, and a jihad was called against his rule. Hafez carried out massive surveillance on the Syrian society, as there was a risk of the major ethnic groups forming a stand against the Alawite minority for the control of Syria. Hafez was a big fan of Stalin and Soviet Russia, so he carried out a Russian-style military dictatorship which is composed of human rights violations, arbitrary detentions, extrajudicial killings, and elimination of leftist and conservative opposition. The regime of Hafez al-Assad is defined as totalitarian by journalists with the aim of describing his habits of suppressing opposition parties, outlawing individual and group opposition to the state and its claims, and also putting heavy limitations to regulate public and private life. Within his entire regime, Hafez al-Assad ruled the country under the rules of a state of emergency, and it was started even before his presidential term back in 1963. His sole aim was to control any kind of uprising against his regime. Under the emergency law, the press was limited only to 3 Baath-controlled newspapers, and the power of creating or disappearing the truth was totally in the hands of the government. Still, internet facilities were very limited in many of the regions within the country, and people had less access to unbiased information. Freedom of expression was hugely affected during his regime, and according to Human Rights Watch, more than 17,000 people were reported to be missing without any evidence under General Hafez's regime as they expressed their opinion against the Assad family. The funniest part of this story is that Hafez al-Assad had designed the constitution in a way that had the authority to appoint the president in the hands of People's Council, which had a 100% favoriting on himself. So he was nominated as the sole candidate for the presidency in his People's Council and confirmed in office by a referendum once every 7 years to confirm his legal right to bear the presidency. He was appointed 4 times as the president of Syria, and each time he won the election by gaining votes of more than 99%. Everyone knew that this was fake and it was not the real representation of the honest idea of Syrian citizens. Through violence, he held his political control over the country until 2000 without any true right to the presidency. His successor, Bashar al-Assad, was not the first choice of Hafez for the presidency. It was his eldest son, Bashar al-Assad. Unfortunately, he died in a car accident back in 1994. It created the opportunity for Bashar al-Assad to become president of Syria after his father's death in 2000. Hafez al-Assad's administration was finally ended after 3 decades, and even though he wanted to depict himself as the father of modern Syria, everyone knew that he pushed the whole Syria to the bottom of poverty during his regime. And Syrians are still suffering from the effects of poor decisions made by Hafez during his regime. After his father's death, Bashar had to work directly with his father's coterie of revolutionary leaders who had power over many key institutions of the country, but it was uncomfortable for him. Then Bashar slowly pushed them away and appointed his own close set of advisors. Bashar's circle was composed mainly of the urban elites, and there was no place for the rural leaders who worked closely with the Hafez regime. This became a key weakness of Bashar's regime as he lost the bridge to connect the presidency with the support base. Even though key figures were changed under the Bashar al-Assad regime, the violence and corruption continued as none of the other faces in the Hafez regime had changed. However, compared to his father, Bashar al-Assad was defined as a natural reformer and was someone with intention of opening Syria. This was proved by him as he tried to cultivate several Western journalists, academics, and policymakers within his administrative group to give him more open advice regarding the administration. But a big question about the right to hold the presidency of Bashar al-Assad arose with the People's Uprising which took place in 2011. Syrian people who were affected by violence and corruption over decades under the Assad dynasty were not happy with those little changes. This Syrian revolution started in March 2011 and was controlled successfully by the government after 4 months through police and military violence, massive arrests, and a brutal crackdown, resulting in thousands of deaths and tens of thousands wounded. But it was not a clear full stop, and certain regions of the country became unstable as armed groups took the control of certain areas of the country. But Bashar al-Assad stood firmly against those rebellions with the support that he had from Russia. In 2015, Russia joined the military campaign against these rebellions, carrying out many human rights violations according to the reports. But their intervention was not sufficient to capture these rebel-controlled areas, as they had indirect support from Western nations with ammunition supplies and strategic supports. Even under such an unstable situation, Bashar al-Assad secured his fourth 7-year tenure in the election held in 2021. The United Nations directly accessed that Bashar al-Assad openly violated the election rules to get a result in his favor. Throughout this video, we discussed coups, rebellions, power struggles, and many other uncomfortable things. A certain country needs a ruler to direct that country into prosperity, creating a better life for all its citizens. Syria is currently at the bottom of poverty, and the government doesn't have a proper plan to develop the country except military strategies to keep the power of Syria within the hands of the al-Assad family. The curse of the Assad family has spread throughout all of Syria, making it difficult to come out of that mess. The only expectation of the Assad family is to continue the Assad dynasty like the royal family, and we cannot expect a peaceful and developed Syria unless this Assad family is totally cleaned out of the country. What do you suggest to end the control of the Assad family in Syria? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel to get more exciting economic news. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.